not everybody's going to be able to be here. You're here. That's awesome. Today's workshop is about getting real, getting bold, and really having your dream life. And my goal today is to provide some insights and other ways to look at your money, to look at what your dreams are, what your ideas are, and also, you know, because I want to be a resource today, right? I want to be able to be a resource today, and that you can have any questions answered and have any coaching that you want on this topic or any other topic really, but really specifically around this as well. And why this is so important, especially as you are walking through this this program, is this is one more layer of like you being in reality with what you want out of your life and what you're able to create, and that the buck stops with y'all, right? It's like we all have to be 100% responsible for our own future. And the truth is, it's like, bye, babe. Sorry, my husband's leaving, so, you know. And you know what he says? He's like, bye, Foxy, love you, Foxy. Isn't that the sweetest thing? Just as a side note, 15 years in, he still thinks I'm Foxy. Okay, that's taking 100% responsibility for having a kick-ass relationship, right? So that's what this is all about today. What is it that you have in your life currently? What don't you have? How do you need to be more bold? How do you need to be in more reality? This morning, I put an email out that talked about, let me see who this is real quick. Hi, who is, let me see. I don't recognize this name. I'm unmuting you. The name says, is that Ann? And it's under Annie. Can you raise your hand if I'm right? I'm going to unmute you. Wait a minute. Unmute. Hi, who's this?
Ann.
Oh, okay, because it says Annie, and I'm like, Annie? I didn't know we could call you Annie. Glad
yes,
you can. Okay, good. I just want to make sure this is your space, everybody.
Yeah.
Not that the Zoom link would get out, obviously, but you know, even though this is replayed, and we all know it's going to be replayed, and we all know it's going to be part of an evergreen thing in the future, all of that. Okay, back to you. Getting real, being bold. Part of this is I want to define some things for you, and I want you to, so this is workshopping, so I'm gonna ask you some questions, and you're gonna be doing this during this time. And for those of you who are watching the replay, same thing, is I want you right now to think about defining debt. What is a debt? And if you decide that you want to participate and want to raise your hand, just raise your hand. I don't know. I know there's a button, or unmute yourself, or just jump in. And of course, I'm going to help kind of shift this perspective a little bit too for you. But I want you to think, what does debt mean? What is a debt? Anybody want to share with me what their perception or their definition of debt is? I know some of you are like, I don't know, when she asks these questions, I know there's a trick behind it, so I'm not going to, right? When you think about your money and what you spend your money on, how do you know if it's a debt? So define debt and then define investment. How do you know which one is a debt and which one is an investment? This is really part of this too, is not just for you. I want you to get this. Everything that I'm teaching in this course is all about compounded learning, compounded mindset shifts, compounded tweaking, not just for you, right, in the moment, but it's also you as you're moving forward in your business to understand these concepts in a different way, so that as you are starting to work with clients, you would be able to help them in a different way understand these concepts. Because when we're talking about selling, hello, we're talking about debt or investment, right? There's somebody else. Who here is on your iPad? I'm going to unmute you. You're unmuted now, whoever. I just unmuted somebody. So can everybody just say hello?
Hello.
iPad person, who is that?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, who's speaking?
Hi, this is Shelly.
Hey, Shelly. Oh, good. Okay, it just says iPad. So
Oh, okay.
I really, I'd like to know that everybody's name so that I can address you properly. So hopefully I'll remember iPad. We got iPad, phone number, Annie, and we have Julie and Jessica. Okay. So the question is, does anybody want to raise their hand and define what debt is, define what investment is? What is your thought? What are your thoughts about that? Let me unmute you, Julie, or you can go ahead. Okay, you're not unmuted. I don't know. Sometimes this works. There you go.
So debt feels, if we go with the feeling, feels overwhelming. It feels oppressive almost. At first, when you said define debt, I even thought, I was like, well, theoretically, my debt is my house. Theoretically, my debt is, that mortgage, whatever. But it doesn't feel oppressive when I think of as an investment, because my home, I live there. So yes, I may have to pay the bank for it, but it is not, it's empowering, I guess, to think of it more as that investment as opposed to the debt. Debt just feels so scary, but we all have it.
Do we all have it?
Well, no, see, okay, so outside of the norm, I don't have like school loans, never had that. I found a way to get through school without that. So to me, I made an investment of my time, my energy, and everything else into school, and I don't have the financial debt from it. But others have that financial debt from it and they don't view their education as an investment. They view it as a chokehold almost, because they don't view what they put towards it. And so like a house, to me, yes, we bought a home. As an example, my husband and I bought a home, and it felt like a noose around our neck because the taxes were astronomical, the HOA, like everything felt crazy and it felt toxic. I don't know if you were putting that, but to me, debt felt toxic. But then when we bought our current home, it felt, this is where we live. I'm going to enjoy this. This is, and yes, we pay your mortgage, but it's that investment. So I think that's the biggest difference to me, is it feels that feeling, emotion that you get with the debt versus investment.
Great. That's excellent. Thank you so much. Can you mute yourself? Thank you. Yeah, so that was really great. And so for those of you who hear, I'm going to recap what she said. She said that when we think about debt, although you might have a mortgage, which traditionally might be perceived because you don't, quote, flat out own something, that's a debt that you're paying somebody for, that debt can feel toxic, debt can feel scary. As opposed to an investment, you get more enjoyment out of it, even if you're still paying on it, right? And that people look at school different ways. Some people look at their education as an investment. Some of them look at it as debt. So this is this is my perception of it, or this is how I look at it. And I'm going to talk about this in the right now too, as far as when you're talking to your clients, when you're selling them your services. So debt is something that you're not actually getting one of these three things. And I've talked about this a tiny bit. So these are writer downers for sure, okay? And I'll talk about this more in just a second. ROI. Actually, let me talk about this first before I give you the definitions. Oh, I'm sorry. Here I'm talking like this and I'm not plugged in. So I'm sorry if my sound quality has been crap until now. I'm just like talking away, not realizing my mic is not plugged in. Return on investment. This is a writer downer. This is something to master. This is something to understand. This is something to put on a 3x5 card or put in like the awareness. All of these things are about you becoming aware. Return on investment. Return on investment, when there's some kind of monetary exchange, and I'll lead this into debt versus investment in a second. Return on investment, three things. One is, what are you getting emotionally out of the expenditure? What are you getting emotionally with spending? And remember too, and I want you to think about this, I'm stretching you, and I know I'm talking about a lot of things here. I'm just giving it all to you, and then I'll break it down a little. What are you spending your money on? What are you spending your time on? And start analyzing everything you do with this concept of return on investment. Are you gaining something emotionally from it? Do you feel better? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel more confident? Do you feel less stressed? Do you feel more excited? Like whatever word you want to use. Emotion, time is whatever you're laying your credit card. Let's just say credit card just for ease, but I mean, it can be cash or whatever. And it could also be your hard-earned sweat, right? Time is what you're exchanging monetarily, helping you gain more time. So it's emotion, time, and money is what you are exchanging going to pay off financially on some level, sometime. Return on investment. So let's use this course for an example to look at it, whether you're perceiving this as debt or an investment. Make sense? So if we look at debt with the feelings that, or if you look at this course, are you getting a return on investment? Because if you're not getting these things, at least one of these, it's a debt, right? And so this is also everyone's perception. This is the critical factor here, guys, that if you don't understand your own perception of debt and investment, when you're having a call and somebody throws like, oh my God, I'm building a house, I don't have any money for that right now, and you've just built a house, you could be like, well, I know, I totally understand. This is about you having an awareness so that you can make sure you're not bringing your stuff to the table during a conversation with the potential client. So this course, you've exchanged money with me. So your analysis is, am I feeling more confident through this course and more aware? And is my mindset, like, am I having like major breakthroughs, like life-changing ahas? Emotion, right? Emotion, mindset, thinking, etc. Time. Are you learning skills that are ultimately saving you time today and will compound in the future? And it's especially even more as we look at plan and systems. The next, we still have one more thing in our foundation 1 mindset, but then as we go into foundation 2 and 3, plan and systems, right? Time. And are you going to be learning, and are you learning how to make money? Yes, this conversation right here is helping you make more money. So if you look at what the return is, if you're getting one of these 3 things out of it, it's actually an investment. So when you say stuff like, I don't know how I'm going to pay off that debt, or, well, this course is a debt. It's not a debt. You can perceive it as a debt if you don't believe you're getting one of these 3 things out of it. That alone, that shift alone for you will make you money. Like, I'm serious now. You're going to start looking at what you exchange money, everything that you exchange money for, is it a debt or an investment? Let me give you an example. I might have already shared this, so if I'm repeating myself, just go with it, because I love this example, so I'm probably going to repeat this like a million times because it was so good. And I can't remember, and I feel like so terrible that I cannot remember off the top of my head who I was talking to. But I did this in our free group, talk about what is a debt. A debt could be that IKEA sofa. Like, actually, I was talking to somebody, and they were like, hey, I said, how do you feel? Maybe it was actually a private client. How do you feel about a $2,500 price point for your 90-day coaching package? And she was like, fine, because I just spent $2,000 on an IKEA sofa. And I'm like, well, God, when you say it like that, like, of course, is an IKEA sofa an investment? For some people, it could be an investment. If they feel like, oh, I finally have my first house, or I finally have my, TV room for my kid, and I'm buying things in there, and I'm gonna feel like, yay, this is the TV room. That's actually an investment because they feel differently, right? Maybe they're not going to ever sell that even on Craigslist to get their money back out of it, so that monetarily it may not be an investment. Or they could have saved money by buying that IKEA one instead of like a custom one from Ethan Allen or whatever, wherever you live and whatever it is. So also, this is perception. This is why you need to understand your definition for these 2 things.
Because if somebody said to you right now, right, I'm on the phone with them and I'm like, okay, you know, this course is whatever, $2,500. And they're like, God, I don't know. I'm at the point in my career, right, I can say to them, how much did you spend on your sofa recently? And if they're like $2,000, I'd be like, for real? I mean, I can press a little bit like that. You may not be able to in this moment, but it's also about you getting that aha moment. So let me give you another example. When I hired my first private coach, and it was actually a mastermind, but I did private coaching with her as well. Altogether, I spent around $30,000 investing in all of her teaching and courses. Now, remember, I have 3 degrees of clinical license, all kinds of certifications, and da-da-da-da-da. I still have a lot of other stuff I've invested in for my knowledge, but it was not a debt for me because of the return on investment, because I knew I was going to be a student, an A+ student. I was going to be coachable, teachable, and trainable, and I was getting my money out of it. I was going to ask questions. I was going to raise my hand. And so I was going to go in there and just like suck everything out of her brain that I possibly could. And the very first talk I did that I worked with her on was a $10,000 day that has led to hundreds of thousands of dollars in income from speaking. So I want you to also look back at your education, because I know that a lot of you have so many degrees and have invested so much money. Like, I've had clients that literally it's $100,000 for their master's degree, $100,000. And now they're in the place of like, oh my God, I can't believe that I could just coach without even having a damn degree. And so they feel like, oh, overwhelmed, still paying off the debt of their, college and stuff. And the work that I've been doing with them, and I want to give to you as well, is analyze that differently now from return on investment. And sometimes the truth is that thank God, that could have been the best $100,000 you've ever actually invested. And you realized, even if you're 10 years in, like, I don't want to do that anymore. Thank God you invested that $100,000, figured out what you don't want to do so you can shift now and go into coaching. And you're still bringing all of this knowledge with you. I never think, oh, I should never have gotten my degree in interior design. I never think that. Thank God I have an incredible house, right? Let me give you another example. So there was this woman, and I've told this story a little bit. So it was September of 2012, I was driving on 295 on the East Coast, and I was driving from, I was like getting off the airport, and I was podcasting, and I was listening to some and it wasn't a podcast back then because I didn't have podcast. It was some other thing. I was listening to this woman who was a psychotherapist turned coach, and that was September of no, that's not right. Is that right? Yes, 2012. And I was like, what? She was a therapist. Now she makes money. I bought a program from her, $400 on the internet. I've gone on to spend tens of thousands. The last program I was in with her was a $14,000 investment. Okay, are you ready? If you've heard this story, hey, sorry. I went in there, and I really wish all of you had your videos on. So if you're just in your pajamas, I understand, but otherwise I'd love to see your faces. I don't see faces, and I would really love to see faces. So if you're able to, start your videos. Thank you. What happened is I went to her very first event. Okay, get ready for this, because this is like one of those, I went to her very first event, and I realized, oh my God, I didn't want her business model. In my mind I was like, I'm investing this money because I'm going to be a spy. I'm going to be a voyeur. I'm going to be like a stalker freak person, learn everything I can. Because just like I want you to do with me, right? I want you to be a student of the work, and then be like a business hat on, watching how I build on my way to 7-figure business. So be a voyeur. What is Mary doing? What is she doing? All of that. Long story short, I went to this event. She had 200 people in the audience, and she was trying to maintain the energy of 200 people. And I realized I cannot do that. I don't want to do that. I didn't want that. That's too many people for me. It's just that stuff drains me, right? She's an extrovert. So it was uplifting for her. For me, it was just just even being in the energy of having all these people want, too much for me. I never went back to another event. $14,000, one weekend, done. So somebody could say like, well, that was like a waste. It was the best 14 grand I've spent in my business. Maybe besides my first coach, 30 grand, but whatever. My point is what I learned is what I don't want. What I learned is there's still plenty of things that I use that I've learned from her, plenty of things that have saved me tons of time. And I have such a premium value of time that it was totally worth it. So when I say these numbers, like I've invested this, I'm not saying that you have to invest this much money. It was for me, I want to master all of these things. I want to master speaking live and making money. If I'm going to invest time in speaking in front of a group of people, I want to make sure I'm walking out of the door with credit cards, so to speak, right? If I'm like working with you all online, like I have mastered, and I am mastering the online space, which is freaking exciting as hell. You all are here because of the work I've invested in learning how to attract you. And this is, now I'm giving you everything back. My goal is to give you as much as I can back without flooding your brains, right? Because I've been doing this for years. Does that make sense? So let's go back. And when you look at it with the ROI, return on investment, one of your jobs today is to just literally think about, what have I considered a debt? What in my life is a debt? And what is an investment? If it's not giving you emotion, time, or money back, it's a debt. And you know what? That does not mean that all debt is bad. Sometimes, like, you know, the truth is, like, this is, again, this mindset shift, right? I mean, some of us, we buy a car, and we're not paying cash for it. Like, I leased my Tahoe because I'm like, let's try a lease, because we were going to buy the new 2020 Bronco. It hasn't coming out. And that Tahoe is a shit ton of money every month, I can assure you. So I could be in a place of like, oh, it's $1,000 every month, going towards something I'm not going to be, you know, enjoying. I could really look at that like, well, that's just money down the crapper. That's a debt. However, I look at it more like every time I get in, and this is also programming, thinking, every time I get in my Tahoe and my husband's driving and River's in the back and we're heading out to the mountain to be able to hike, and I've got my hiking gear in the back and I'm able to climb, you know, like go back country, I'm like, yes, that's worth every penny to me. Now, have there been other things in my life that are debts? Yeah. When I buy some junky clothes that really I don't care about, I don't feel better in them, right? I just feel like, ugh, you know, these are the fat clothes. That's a debt. You know, when I buy junk food, which I don't eat junk food anymore, but when I bought junk food, that's a debt. Even if I paid cash for it, right? I paid cash for those Cheetos. It's still a debt because it's not giving me anything in return. How has this shifted your thinking a little bit today already? Who wants to share? And it might be one of those things you got to take in, because this is truly a pretty radical shift from what we're programmed in about debt. And let me back this story up even more. So I don't know if some of you know, my parents, my mom and my stepfather, they were in, sorry, let me turn this off. They were in lending. So I grew up with my mother saying things like, people in debt are bums, people are in debt are losers. Like, she didn't say it like that, but that was totally the message, right? If you were in debt, there's something wrong with you. And so, of course, what happened to me? Oh, I got my first credit card when I was like 17, Fashion Bug. Anybody remember Fashion Bug? It was one of those, like, you know, what's the equivalent now? Maybe like an H&M or one of those 21, Forever 21 kind of stores. It was probably the pre of that. Of course, what happened? I didn't learn anything about money. I didn't learn to understand really what is a debt and what is an investment, but also it's their limiting. It was like her limiting concepts. So again, this goes back to one of the questions you always have to ask yourself that we've talked about. Is this true for me? This is why I said it's personal. You might think it's a debt and somebody else is like, that's the best investment of my life. right? So here my mom was just like, people in debt, people in debt, people in debt. But she never taught me how to like invest. So what happened? Those credit cards, man, they came and so of course I was buying all kinds of nothing. But that's a whole another thing we're going to talk about another day. Our money stories, our limiting beliefs around money, and pulling that from our past and cleaning that up and writing a new story. Today, it starts with understanding your concepts of debt and debt and investment. Does anybody want to comment on your thoughts about this? Look who it is. Anne, let me unmute you. Hi.
Hi. So one thing that just hit me was how I spend so much time chasing dollars with insurance companies. I have one example. An insurance company suddenly quit paying me, and then it took forever. They had put me under my office mate's tax ID number. And I finally had to get on Facebook and say something, and then all of a sudden they fixed it. But sometimes that feels like a debt to me because I'm chasing maybe $50 or, and it's exhausting. And I'm glad that people can come see me and they, have insurance so they can afford it. But I don't know. That just felt like when you were talking about time and everything, it just kind of hit me like, all the time I've spent on some of that.
That is thank you for sharing that. I'm going to mute you out and raise your hand if you want to speak again. That was so good. Let's play that out a little bit because I wrote that down because I was like, so that's so true on so many levels, right? This is why, a couple reasons why I personally love this coaching business is because now I have created, and some of you are on payment plans, right? And so there have been times where people default, right? Or, their credit card gets messed up or whatever. Like I know, like literally one of my clients, I said, for whatever reason, my merchant account didn't charge her $1,500. It didn't, like, I don't know, it got all messed up. I don't know why. So I had to hey, I mean, this is a private client, so we have a close relationship. And, and I don't like spending that kind of time, but I know what you're saying if you had to do that repeatedly. So with coaching, the reality is we get paid for the most part up front. A lot of you just paid in full because you saved money doing that, right? The payment plans have a tiny, tiny, like incremental, just a tiny little add-on. But what she's saying, but what you're saying, Anne, is so true. How many of you have business models where you're like getting paid after, their check bounces, you're having to collect, or you have to file insurance and all that kind of stuff. And maybe some of you don't, and Lori's like, no, I don't have that. But that's a good point. And so even more to this point, this is one of the ahas I had. So it's all of these things. It's not just chasing a $50, which, feels exhausting. And you're right. It's just a shitty ROI. It's also like realizing, okay, this is personal, but it's funny, right? It's like, how long do I spend sometimes looking for the best price for a plane ticket? I'm like, should I go the day before? Should I sit, and I'm like, fuck it. Now I just like whatever it is, first class. Like I am so done with that. Or, well, what's the best deal on a VRBO or the best hotel? Like I'll spend hours on that. I don't anymore because I finally got to the point. Why am I comparing a $400 a night place with a $500 a night place? Like, or even $150 a night to $190 a night. Like at the end of the day, 5 nights, that's only like $50 or what is that? 50 times 4, a couple $100. It just spent me an hour to do it. I make more than $200 an hour. It's a waste of my time. It's the same thing too. We've talked about this with having a housekeeper, right? Having a housekeeper and looking at real numbers. So this is what I want to do now is look at real numbers. And I realize I don't have something to dry this off. That's a wet. Hold on one second. Okay, so getting into real numbers. We've talked about this before, the housekeeper bit. And actually, I feel kind of, The other day, actually it was yesterday, I had a sales call with a potential client. So I said, why do you want to do a coaching business? Da, 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 da. And she's like, well, I work from like 8 to 5 and I commute an hour plus each way. So by the time I drop off my kids, I go to work, I go pick my kids up, and I get back home, I'm literally out of the house 12 solid hours. I said, how much money do you make? And she makes like $50,000, $55,000 a year. So I was like, have you done the math on how much money you actually make? And I didn't do that with her right then. So $25 an hour, so it's $1,000 a week. So if it's 12 hours out of the house times 5 days, that's 60 hours, right? So if she was making $1,000 a week divided by 60, she's making $16 an hour. $16.66, because I work out of my home, so I don't have any commuting time, right? Now, I'm not saying I don't travel. I just traveled the other day, and occasionally when I do speaking gigs, blah, blah, blah. So it happened that my housekeeper was here, and she's downstairs vacuuming. And I said to this woman, I said, do you want to know how much I pay my housekeeper? And she said, please, God, because I said to her, like, if you're making 50 grand right off the bat, you're about $25 an hour. But with all that commuting, it's less. So it's probably less than 20. And so I said, do you want to know how much I pay my housekeeper? And she said, please tell me it's more than $20 an hour. And I was like, sorry, no, it's not more. It's $35 an hour. I pay my housekeeper $35 an hour, which is the equivalent of $70,000 a year. Any of you having a moment here? Right? It's my housekeeper. This is the power. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand you have the power in your coaching business to make literally as much money as you want to. When you're working for yourself, even if you have a private practice, you're limited with how much money you can make, except if you want to have a group practice. Several of my private clients have group practices, and we are making this like a machine so that they can focus now on their coaching business. So they've got their group, they've got a group practice. They have 1099 people working for them. And I am just like, do this. So to get their revenue up to be hundreds of thousands of dollars so that their coaching business, they are 100% in it. But can you see the return on investment? This again, when I have my housekeeper, when I'm paying Heidi $35 an hour, it takes her like the whole day to clean my entire house. I mean, first of all, let's forget the money. I don't want to be tired. I don't get joy. Like emotionally, I'm not like, yay, cleaning the house. There's sometimes, some of you who might say, I love cleaning. Okay, great. Like if that is your true thing, that you would rather be cleaning than spending time with your kids or going for a hike or writing the book that you want to write or whatever the hell it is, fine. But be clear that that's the real reason and not that you don't want to spend $20 an hour. I mean, I started Heidi less than $35 an hour. She's been with me for years now, but makes sense. So again, it's that return. Let's getting real with our numbers. So this is the next point. Okay. So what are you spending? Like, what do you need? How much do you need cost to live? Do you all know literally how much it costs to live? And I don't mean I mean Maslow, like live, not in the biggest house, not even what you're doing right now, like bottom line so that you're not thrown out on the street. So that could be like, what's your mortgage? What's your gas and electric? What are groceries? What's insurance? I mean bare bones. I don't mean your credit card. I don't mean Netflix. I don't mean cable. Even though for most of us, having the internet is something that you need to live, because you need, especially if you're doing this, I need the internet to build my business, right? Build my business, grow all of that. Do you know your numbers? How many of you run and you don't have to actually answer this if you don't want to. The question is, how many of you know your household expenditures. Are you in charge of it, or have you given that to your husband or your partner or somebody else? Your job is to know your numbers. You need to write that down. Know my numbers. If you don't know, it's how you do one thing is how you do all things. If you don't know your numbers in your house, you're never going to be very good as a businesswoman. I'm sorry, that's the truth. If you're turning over your numbers to somebody else, who do you think you're going to turn your numbers over to in your coaching business? It can't be a bookkeeper, because you need to know your business before you turn things over. That includes before you hire somebody. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm going to hire a Facebook ads manager. Do you know how to write an ad? No. Do you know how to create a PDF? No. You need to know the basics of running your own business before you give it to somebody else to run for you. A lot of times people offload, and I'm all about delegate, right? What is it? Delegate, eliminate, automate. Like, these are things we're going to learn in systems. So don't hear me incorrectly. I'm very much on like get help, but not until you know. Like, I know how to clean my toilet. I don't need anybody to tell me. And like, I know how I want my towels folded. It's easy for me to say, Heidi, fold my towels like this. Actually, I don't fold, like. So if you don't know your numbers in your home, you will not know your numbers in your business. You must know your numbers. What I do not want to hear is, I don't know numbers, Mary. I don't like numbers. Okay. 1 + 1 equals, let me see a show of fingers. 1 + 1, right. 2. Guess what you know now? Oh my God, you know your numbers. You have to know your numbers to be good at selling. Why? Because if you don't understand money, you don't get the ROI. You haven't defined for yourself debt or an investment. You're going to feel more challenged when you are selling a product at $2,500. If you think like $2,500 is crushing, I have no idea how I'm going to find that. I cannot. And somebody says, oh, I really want to spend, I don't have $2,500. And some people don't have $2,500 right then. They might not be your ideal client, right? Or they say things like this, okay, get ready. And I'm not going off on a whole big sales conversation right now, but I'm trying to point an example for you. This is what people say to me. This happens frequently, and I just like, okay. They're like, I don't have the money right now. And I'm like, really? You're like 43 and you don't have $2,500? And they're like, no. And I'm like, so you're saying you don't have a credit card in your own name and you're 43? Oh, I have a credit card. I have a credit card. I just don't want to put this on it. Okay. So what's their perception then of putting, let's just say, a course on it, your course, your program? One, they don't understand the return on investment. That's good news. So you can explain that a little more clearly. But it says how limiting they are in their understanding of being able to do whatever they need to do for themselves. So what I say to people, and I'll share on both things, my life coaching business and my business coaching, so that you can hear the same thing that I'm saying to people. I'm not saying, because it's one thing that I could be like, well, it makes sense for you to learn how to run a business. If you don't know how to run a business, it's kind of like a no-brainer that you should be investing in learning how to run a business, right? That could be like a no-brainer kind of thing, right? It'd be like, And then I do say that. I say like, well, do you know how to run a business? And they're like, no. And I'm like, so you're not willing to invest money into learning how to run a business by putting that on a credit card to invest in your future. Oh, that's debt. And so we have a conversation about debt. What is debt? This is my perception. Let me teach you ROI. And I actually talk about that on a sales call if it's my right client, right? If it's the right client. I don't go through that, and the truth is, I also say to people, women, and this is what I'm saying to you. So if you need to hear this, maybe you need to hear this. If you don't have credit in your own name, you don't have a credit card, you don't have something accessible for you to run your business, you're going to have a harder time. I'm going to give you lots of free resources as we move along this program. if you're not utilizing, though, credit right now to leverage your time within your business, you're going to have a hard time. If you're looking at it like, well, that's debt. A Facebook ad is debt. Well, and I'm not even telling you to do Facebook ads. It could even be, I've heard this, I don't want to get a speaking gig out of town because then I'd have to spend the night somewhere, and I don't want to put that hotel on my credit card. And I'm like, okay. No one's standing up in Shark Tank being like, well, I'm not going to invest in my own business. You know? So there's plenty of ways you can build your business for free, but you can't just do everything like that. That just is illogical to me. And of course, I'm all about don't overspend. Like, so the opposite end of this, and then I'll get to the life coaching, what I say. The opposite end of this is sometimes people are like, oh my God, I got my own business. I can write everything off. Let me just buy. I need a new computer. I want to get a new desk. And they just think like, oh, I can just write everything off. That's not, in fact, the truth. You'll write off maybe 20% of that. So if you buy $1,000 computer, you'll be able to write off $200. And actually, that's actually not 100% true because there's depreciation and all that. But so it's the same thing. It's still the same concept. Are you getting a return there? Right? You don't need, business cards that are $1 a piece, which is what I did with the relationship tour guide. Like that was like, somebody could be like, well, that was a good investment. Well, not according to my litmus of what an investment is, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I never hardly even use business cards and that's what I teach you. Like, why are you getting business cards today? It doesn't make sense. Is this resonating? How are you all perceiving your own? Before I say that, let me do the life coaching piece. Because like I said, so if somebody says to me, so my life coaching 90 days is $5,000. And my private business coaching is significantly more than that, more than double that actually. So for, actually, just as an FYI, my private business coaching is 6 months. It's $12,000. 4 months, it's $9,500. I have one VIP day with people. They get any training that they need, and I coach with them 30 minutes a month. Let me say that again. Are you ready? Because I know that people are like, what? 3 30-minute calls a month. One VIP day, 1 6-hour VIP day. No, they get access to me by Vox, and I jump in whenever they need it and all that kind of stuff. Like every day I'm still talking with my clients. So for some people, they'd be like, shit, Mary, I never spent $12,000 in investment. I told you I spent $30,000 with one of my coaches. I spent $14,000 with another one. The lessons that I learned have paid me hundreds of thousands of dollars. I never could have learned them by myself. So now let's talk about life coaching. When I'm talking to a life coaching prospective client, she doesn't get a full VIP day. My life coaching clients do not have access to me like my private business coaching clients. That's why the investment is not as high, because my time is not, I'm not spending as much time with them. They're still getting a ton, of course. So $5,000, 90 days, life coaching, 3 coaching calls a month. They start out with the half VIP day. Why is that so a huge, great return on their investment? I hope that you're getting this as you are learning the mindset piece and as you have whatever coaching niche you want. Some of you want to do with weight loss. Some of you want to do with, helping women with their confidence. Some of you want to do parenting stuff. It's the same. This is the concept with life coaching, whatever niche underneath of this, and why that return, that $5,000 is so valuable. Because when a woman has these massive mindset breakthroughs, which I know that a lot of you are having, it changes everything in their life. Whether they're making more money, they're better health. That's the ripple effect to having their children. To teach a client to have more self-esteem as a woman, and she shows up differently in her marriage, in her relationship, or she quits her marriage, or she changes her job, or she gets that promotion. That is everything. So some of my life coaching clients, these are some of the things we've worked on. We've worked on quitting drinking. We've worked on relationships. And this is even after I stopped doing just relationships. We've worked on the power of what you're saying. Like my life coaching clients, And just like I do with you, I'm catching them like boom, 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 boom. And they're hearing what they're saying. And we put it all through that results formula and some of these other tools that I use that you're learning, like the 100 successes or the what do you want? What don't you want? What do you want? What do you decide? Like all of these things that you're learning, right? All of these things. A lot of this is a lot of the work I do with my life coaching clients. The future casting, the regret-proof lifing, making peace with your past. Like all of these things, a lot of these nuggets that I've been weaving in with everything that you've been doing already is what I do like deliberately hardcore with my mindset or with my life coaching clients. So right now, I know some of you have posted like you've had such breakthroughs in just a couple of weeks. That return on investment is huge. So that's how I work with my life coaching clients. It's the same thing. So if they have pushback like $5,000, well, first of all, I've spent $5,000 on just life coaching. So it's easy for me to be like, I fucking did it. This is why it's important that you all have invested in a program so you can understand also their perspective, your clients. Like, I don't know, because most women may never have spent money investing in themselves. And this is the shift. I want you to hear this because this is like, take a second and I'll say it probably twice. It feels differently. I don't know why. This is our programming. This is your thinking. To invest in life coaching or parenting coaching or relationship coaching or even business building coaching. For some reason, because it's our life and we're on the face of my business, somehow that feels so different to invest in learning these things than to spend $100,000 on a master's degree. Let me say that again. Some of you have spent $50,000, $100,000 on your master's or all your college or whatever and your license, You didn't think, you might have thought twice like, oh, that's a lot of money, but you did it anyway. And some of you hesitated before investing whatever it is, whatever you ended up paying for this course, or whether we have our VIP days coming or what have you. You hesitated. The question becomes, why? Oftentimes, it's because women, when we're the face of our business, somehow that's all about us, and I can't invest in myself. Oh my God, I can't invest, $3,000, $12,000 with Mary in my business coaching, even though I spent $100,000 on a degree I'm not even really thinking about using anymore. I don't want to be a social worker anymore. I can't spend $5,000 in life coaching, even though, I'm working all the time and I'm screaming at my kid. Really? Like, let's work through this stuff so you can not scream at your kid. Who's having a moment here? Because you all are looking at me like I wish, because you can't see each other. Can you all see each other? No. You can see each other? Some of you have set it up where you can, like y'all are looking so intense. So how is this like rippling effect with you? Anybody want to share? Jessica, unmute yourself. Are you talking? Did you want to share, Jessica?
Sure.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead. Hi.
I was telling my son to go upstairs because I don't know if you can still hear me. Am I fine?
Yes, speak. Yes,
Okay.
Thank you. I can hear you.
So I'm having a really major breakthrough. I think like even just like the first 10 minutes of the call with you going over investment versus debt, it
Thank
felt
you.
like a relief because I'm like, maybe I don't have as much debt as I originally thought. And so I think that felt very empowering for me.
Great.
I'm all about empowerment. And so
Yes.
it's great. But I think in regards to what you just mentioned, I did hesitate investing, the money into the course. And I have already processed through why, and it just felt so uncomfortable for me to invest into myself. And I think the reason that is because I'm a caretaker and I'm always looking to make sure that everybody else is taken care of, that I feel like I neglect myself. And it was actually one of your Facebook videos where you were talking about it's an investment to take this course. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to invest in myself. And I'm so glad I did. I was talking with one of my fellow social work friends and I was telling her like, even up to now, I'm like week 2, going into week 3. And I feel like I've already gotten so much more than what I paid. And so that mindset shift has been really big for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jessica. And And that's my goal, is that you all feel like you're getting more than your money's worth immediately, like the investment. And thanks for sharing what you said about being a caretaker, right? It's funny, isn't it, that like we want to take care of people. So part of that is learning the business how, so we can actually take care of people, right? I think someplace I put something along the lines like, the bigger the business you build, the more people you have the capacity to help, if you set it up correctly. I don't want to just be like all big business, because there's this, and I'm just sharing this with you now, it's kind of a side note. There is a place in your business where you really need to make a decision whether the expansion is actually going to give you what you want. Again, when you start looking at all these things with return on investment, and I hope you do with every decision moving forward, whether it's money or your time or your emotional investment, you'll be able to make a decision. Let me give you a quick example, just so you know, like for yourself. So I've worked by myself a lot in my business, and I've had assistants. And I'm at the point now where it's like, it makes sense for me to hire a team so that I can just be in my zone of genius, which is this stuff and content, etc., than worrying about PicMonkey or Canva or posting, which is fun for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean it equates to money. But also, let me give you another example. There's this place oftentimes where, let's just say, and this is why we're going to get to what it costs to I'm segueing, thank you, Jessica, off of this is why you need to understand what it is you really want as far as what is in your life and how much money it costs and this kind of thing. And this is why. There's plenty of times, literally the other day I asked somebody, like, how much money do you want to make? And they're like, $1 million. And I'm like, why? Why $1 million? Is it because it sounds good? Is it because you want to prove something to yourself? Like, I don't care your reason. Like, I have zero attachments to it. It's more that you have to know. And this is why, because sometimes you can't go from 60 to $1 million, as you've learned with the belief continuum, right? Like, you have to like foster that belief, like in the results formula and all that work you did the other day. Like, I think it's mindset number 5. It's kind of like that belief continuum and fear. It's like, there gets to be a point where you have to assess, hey, look, I'm making $223,000 a year, and it's me and my assistant. I wanted to make $1 million. Now I've got it, and maybe your profit margin, by the way, this is just a side note. Do you realize your profit margin in our coaching business can be like 60 or 70% profit? Why? Because I don't have to deal with insurance companies. I don't have to, like, the people that I hire are doing the behind the scenes work, but I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to drive anywhere. It's like anyhow, well, that's another day conversation too. But my point is, maybe it's like getting to that expansion place. If you don't know your numbers now, you're not going to be able to make an effective decision on whether to expand or how much to expand. If in your head you're like, I want to make $1 million, I want to make $1 million, even though right now $223,000 a year like pays my bills. I go to Hawaii every year. I'm driving the best car. I have a freaking like mansion or whatever you want. I don't care. Like, you drive a Jaguar, like, I don't care. Or you're funding your church, like, whatever it is, where it's like you feel like a rock star, you have time off, like, you're like, yes. But you're like, but I still want to make $1 million. You have to know your numbers to assess. Then, is the time invested to grow to $1 million, does it make ROI? Is it emotionally going to make a difference to you? Is it going to save you time? Is it going to make you for real more money? And for some people, like all the 7-figure plus earners I know, they're like, oh yeah, it's so much easier once you hit $1 million. It's like, these are the litmus lines. Ready? Hitting your first $100,000 in coaching, then getting to like over 200, 250, then hitting right around 700, soon as and then $1 million. So these are kind of the stair steps where people get a little funky in their head. Like, if I ever can make $100,000 coaching, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can do that. Because let me give you the numbers on this. This is, again, back to your numbers. You would just need to sell I'm going to write this down in a second. I'm going to do this in a second. Okay, back to this. What are your numbers? What does it cost you to live, right? Okay, so then what does it actually cost you for what you want? Right? What do you need to live? And then what do you need to pay for? How much money do you need to earn for what you want? So I really love a spa day. I love my Botox. I love great skincare. I love organic food. So for me, it's not just like, oh, I live in a beautiful home. That's a plus, right? But of course, I've worked for years, so that's part of it. But like part of my business is so that I have some freedom, so that I can have Heidi, so that I can go to, to Hawaii, so that I can take time off. You're going to see over the next couple of months, lots of content, but not lots of offers and not lots of pitching courses and stuff. The next evolution of the courses after this will come in September, the Big Bold Life and Biz Plan for therapists who want more. And that is like the next level. Like this, that is going to be like way the bigger, deeper dive on marketing and strategy and way more structure because you've built foundation. So you're welcome to participate in that. But what do you want? Right? Do you want to have a massage person come to your house every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. after you've had your green smoothie? How much does that cost? Do you want to go out once a month or once a week with your husband or girlfriends or whatever, and you need somebody to walk your dog at 8 o'clock at night because you just bought a puppy? How much does that dog walker cost? Like, what do you want? And without judgment to yourself. Like, want what you want unapologetically, because why the fuck not? Why not want what you want? Because if anyone has ever had it, you can have it too. If anyone has ever had, 100 acres in a pond and, lived off the land and have like solar or whatever it is that you want, there's people that have done that. If you want a chef that comes in, or maybe you don't even care about the chef, you want to order one of those, like, what is that called? And I used to do this in the beginning when I was really building my business, where you get that weekly thing that comes every week, whatever it's called, like Get Healthy. It's like $50 and you get like a box of stuff. And it's already cut up. Like, what do you want? And when you know what you really want, it will be so easy to look at everything with return on investment. Everything. It would just be so much easier. I promise you. Because then you're going to be like, do I really want that or not? Do I really want that or not? And the more money you make, and I know this sounds weird, but this is really true. The more money you make, the more money you have, the more you are actually looking at, do you want to spend it? Even if you're currently a spender. Sometimes we're spenders now because we're like, I'm already in so much debt. Who cares if I'm spending $10 a day at Starbucks? It's my reward, like whatever. Right? And you're going to start looking at like these little funny areas like about money. So I gave you the thing about orbits. Like I'm searching, should I stay at this resort or that resort? And I'm like, who fucking cares? It's like a couple $100 over, like, it's not going to matter in a year from now. Sure shit, it's not going to matter when I'm like snorkeling. I'm not going to be like, well, I could have stayed at that other place for $59 less a month or a night. It's like this. And I'm going to be really transparent on this. Is still a learning curve sometimes for me. Okay. Where I really analyze. Okay. So this is so stupid and personal, but still, this is like, I'm trying to just be 100% transparent like I always try and do. Okay. So you go to Whole Foods and they already have a little box of stuff that has been, what do you call that? Zoodleized, spiralized. That shit is expensive. Like one little thing this big of butternut squash spiralized, it's like $6. And I'm like, I have a spiralizer at home, Mary, and it's only $1.89 if I bought the big ass butternut squash. But the truth is, by the time I peeled it and then I had to cut it up and then I spiralized it, it's like 25 minutes later. I don't love cooking that much that brings me so much joy. So what do you think I buy now? I buy it. It's already spiralized. Do I feel great when I'm like plucking it out, putting on my salad, eating really healthy? Yeah. The return on investment. I know it's stupid. It sounds stupid, right? It's like, it's small, but that's how that's how I'm conditioned myself and reprogrammed myself to be thinking. It's all these little things. Okay. So what is it that you want, and literally know what it is. So let me give you a couple examples. Recently I had a client and I said to her, and this is why I want you to know what you want. I said, what do you really want? And she said she wants a mudroom and a 2-car garage in a better neighborhood. So I was like, well, how much does that cost? And she had no idea. Okay. So this weekend, your assignment is to go on Zillow, and in your neighborhood that you want to move to, like, go on a Sunday open house and look through a couple houses and find out how much they cost. You cannot get what you want if you don't know your numbers. Do you see how now we're all the way back to the very beginning about numbers, right? If you want $1 million house, and by the time you have tax, title, insurance, and all that, it's roughly 6.5% a month. So that's $6,500 a month payment. Okay, now you have something that you can work with. This is why I said, what does it cost you to live right now? And this is why, for those of you who want this coaching business to be your full-time gig, you have to understand what you need to live on, what maybe your current income is, and like, is your current income enough? And if it's not, by how much is it not enough? So that you can look at, oh, okay, let's just for round numbers. I make $50,000 a year and I'm still feeling a little pinched. Okay. Well, if you're making $50,000 a year, you probably clear roughly $3,000 a month. Clear. So that means in your coaching business, you're going to, if you need to sell about $50,000 a month to clear $3,500 a month, like, now we can look at, oh, you need to sell approximately $7,500 a month. So some of you might be like, oh my God, I can't even imagine selling my very first thing. It goes pretty quick. If you start out selling coaching packages at $1,500 a month, I always teach you after you sell your first 5 at $1,500, boom, rate goes up to $2,500. So now I want you to be thinking, oh, okay, if I am currently making 50 grand and this clears me about $3,500 a month, and this is what, $6,000? So I need to be selling roughly, let's just say, like I said, $7,000, because you have taxes in there. Maybe you've got a little assistant or whatever, you got whatever, whatever it is, right? So if I need to sell $7,500 a month to give me just a little bit more, because I really need, quote, $4,000 to pay my bills and my little extras, not, right? We're building our way up to what I really want. But right now we're looking at, what do you need to cost to live to replace your income? Okay, so how many packages? Well, if it's $1,500 a month, or excuse me, you're selling things at $1,500, that's at least 4, right? Which makes 6,000. So it's like 4 and a little bit. Okay, so where can we find 4 to 5 people every month to buy your $1,500 program? Is that helpful to you to see the numbers broken down, or are you all like, I don't know what she's talking about? Like, yes, I understand, or I'm still not 100%, because I'm happy to review it. Good? And if this is too basic, hey, sorry. I still want to just not everybody when people watch the replay. So now, if you know that your ideal life is $250,000 a year, that means you got Juan coming in to clean the pool and Sally Joe coming in to cook on Mondays, so you have food for the week, or whatever that looks like. Then you can start breaking it down. This is roughly $20,000 a month, right? And so if it's $20,000 a month and now you're up to $2,500 packages, You can do the math. Or $5,000 packages, or $10,000 packages, or $20,000 packages. Once you start knowing your numbers, what you want, then it's way easier to figure out how to structure. Now in this program, I'm giving you like some done for you templates and ideas and all that kind of stuff. Fine, but this is your coaching business, right? Like you learned on one of the last, I guess it was M6, Mindset 6. This is your coaching business. You might, it's your money. Your job is to know your income and your potential. I still love that. I'm gonna, Jessica, I'm gonna do a little video, I think sometime again on this, neglecting ourselves. We put ourselves last. I know I talk about that a little bit, but that investment in self is huge. So that's a lot about what I wanted to talk about today, is to get super clear on the numbers. Why? Because as we move forward, this is like, you got to know this stuff. You have to know what you want. You have to understand this. You have to start being analytical. So your task today is to assess what are the numbers that you need right now to live on. And I mean, you need, if you get your nails done and you don't have to get your nails done, I mean bare bone numbers. And because some of you are in jobs, and maybe not everybody here, but like I said, the replay, some of you have jobs you hate. Some of you are working with clients that are draining you. And you want this coaching business. You can only design your coaching business if you know how you can get out of that. It gives you power in knowing your numbers. It gives you power in understanding where you're headed. It gives you freedom. I'm all about women not living in mediocrity and having true emotional, time, and financial freedom. And having emotional freedom also comes from being financially free. Emotional freedom comes from having time freedom. You can't have time freedom if you're working full time and building time freedom is bought today. You need to have money. I want you to think about this. Let me tell you, when I earned close to $70,000 in a single month, now it's all easy, 20,000 here, 30,000 here, 40,000 here. My highest month to date was close to $70,000. That was more than I'd ever earned in a single year as a clinician, working at Hopkins and having a private practice. When I got that, I wanted every woman to understand that they can have that. I am no different than you are. I am no different. I have worked and worked and worked and worked, invested within my thinking. And I still do this on a daily basis. Because that shit sneaks up on you. Even if you think, I got this covered, something happens, and I'm oh, I don't know. That happened the other day. I was at this billion-dollar corporate company, flies me in, and I was like, oh my God, am I going to do a good job? Yeah, of course. I know I did, and I know I am, even going in. And, I've already been in touch with the chief, intelligence or information person or whatever. I'm going to work the hell out of that and make that a $50,000 deal. But it comes from all these years of doing the work. Make sense? Right? Can you see now that knowing your numbers, even if it's ugh. So maybe some of you are going to have the conversation with your spouse. Hey, one of the things I want to make sure that, I'm building this coaching business, and I want to be a true businesswoman and understand my numbers in my coaching business. And the best place for me to start is I really want to know the numbers that it costs for us to live. How can we, let's set a date on the calendar where we're going to go over our numbers. Maybe you already are paying the bills. I don't know. I don't need to know this, but my point is, it's knowing that. And then if you're married or if you're with a partner or you want this, and I'm not telling you go do this, but then what do you both want? Sometimes we need to have our partner buy in a little bit, because you might be with somebody who right now is why are you doing that coaching thing? I can't believe you're doing that coach thing. I don't know what. You went to school this long. You spent all that money. You said when we got married that you were going to, you wanted to be a therapist. So we paid all this money. Now you change your mind. Like, look, this is stuff I hear literally every day. I see a couple smiles, right? I literally hear this every day. Or your mom said this. We paid for your college. Coaching. That's a step down. Why did you want to do it? Like, people don't know what they don't know. They don't understand. So also keep your dreams to yourself and in this group, right? Does anybody have any feedback? ROI, choices, cost of dreams, cost to live, time freedom, money freedom, investment, I covered everything I know I wanted to cover today, and I gave you your assignment to note your numbers. Anybody have any questions, comments, or aha moments before we end? Who here feels right now rock solid in their money? Like I could call you up and be like, good. No. The question I always like to ask is, do you know how much is in your wallet right this very second? Some people do, some people don't, right? How many of you get surprised? Sometimes I love to have my husband go grocery shopping. He went to Costco the other day and he's like, I spent over $400. I'm like, all right. That's how much. Or he's like, bread is like $4 or $5. Yeah. Sometimes people need to understand what it costs to actually have a sandwich in your own stinking house. Okay. So if you don't have any other questions, now's your, okay, Julie, go ahead.
Okay. So I have I'm not sure where this fits in that.
That's
so
fine.
I had no problem investing in your course. I knew this is what I wanted and I did it.
Good.
And I said, okay, but here's where I struggle is because that was great. And I probably should have done it, invested in the private coaching, didn't. Because to me, I thought, okay, well, I can figure some of that out on my own. And because I agree, I need to figure out some things. But where do you take some of this to that next level? When do you stop saying, okay, I get this and I'm good, and then then be willing to say, this is a good investment. This is where I need to go. This will get me the reach. I mean, here's the thing, Mary, I wanted your program because I knew I want this. She's going to tell me and we're good. She's done this. I don't need to rework the wheel. But sometimes I get all these people that are saying, here, give me this money and I'll get you here. Give me this money, I'll get you here. And I'm going, you're all scammers at this point. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I feel like everybody else out there just wants my money and says, and I'll get you where you need to go. I'm a doer. I will work. I will get there. But I want Mary, tell me and I will do it. Where do I go next? Like, who do you say, yes, Julie, you want this online business? Do this. You want this? You do this. Is that where I say, I missed the chance to sit down with you individually? Is that where I say, this is where we, that kind of thing?
So what I hear you saying is that you're like, okay, I want some other to-dos. You're like, I've been doing this mindset stuff, Mary. I got the money thing down. I'm going to do all that. But I'm an action taker, and so am I. I get that. I'm all about results. And so as the plan modules and the system modules will be hardcore, like, do this. And it will be things like, go tell 25 people this week that I'm a coach and track your numbers.
Okay.
Here's a spreadsheet. Use that spreadsheet. And in fact, I think you all might even have that spreadsheet where it says prospecting at the bottom. Where it said clear the clutter, you have a thing that says prospecting. So we're going to talk about that. So all of this doing, I totally get it. So this is what I want to say. So I respect 100% what you're saying, because I felt this way with my coach. I was like, just give me the ABC 1, 2, 3. I'm ready to go. What I have found is I would bump up hardcore on all of this like money stuff, or learning how to do sales conversations, because I was bringing all my drama to the call unknowingly, because I hadn't done all of this work yet. That's why I'm saying, know what you know. Like, what do you define as debt? What do you define as, like, this is real. Even though I know it doesn't seem like it's doing, this is the doing.
Oh no, like, I feel like this is doing. Like,
okay.
I know the mindset's perfect. This is where I go, I'm on board. I'm good. This is great. Now, now I say, okay, now I have, somebody saying, I can help you set up this online business. I can help you do this. And I'm going, is that what I need? I guess that's where that mindset comes, is to me, this is that aha moment of I went, okay, why am I not investing in this? But how do I know that that's a good investment for my business? How do I know that
Okay.
that's where I need to go? I guess, I don't know if that.
You mean with this program or like other programs in general?
With others. Mary, you've sold me. Like,
Okay. Right. Okay. So
you're
saying, let me back up. Cause I guess what I heard you say was like, you're probably inundated with like, buy my shit. That's what you're saying. And now you're in the, how do I make an assessment on what other things to buy? Is that what I hear? Is that more accurate?
I think so. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Let me give you an example. Like ClickFunnels. There's ClickFunnels out there and people are like, sign up for ClickFunnels. It's $300 a month and this will get you down your month. So this is my perspective and you can choose however you want. I am very much like, I pick 1 or 2 or 3 people and I follow them exclusively until I've learned everything that they have to teach me. So let me tell you who my people are so that you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Amy Porterfield, because she teaches webinars. Rick Mulready, because he teaches Facebook ads. That's it right now. My own life coach, who is all about weight loss and menopause. So those are like the 3 people. That's it. Now I'll look at other people's stuff and I've hired other people. But what I do is I will follow them. I will consume their free stuff. If I'm not getting enough out of their free stuff, I'm not buying their shit, period. So that's what you have to look at and this is the lesson to you all. And so this is an excellent question, Julie, and I'm just going to kind of riff off of this a little bit. Some of you might think like, I don't want to give away my best shit. Well, what are they going to buy if I don't give away my best shit? Okay. I totally felt like that in the beginning, but there's a lot of people that tell me just watching my free videos have changed their lives, changed their businesses. I had somebody tell me that they like took one of my videos that was all like how to create a package in an hour. Like I taught that on it. And that's like, what I do with clients. And they were like, I want to let you know, I took that and I did it and I've sold my first package. So my point is when you're listening to people, if they're giving you something that's just like, it's not substantive, then move on. Now, this is the other thing I want to tell you. This is just a little insight about Facebook ads, right? So I targeted all of you and you were in a target that was like therapist or clinician or LCSW and your age ranges and all that kind of stuff. You're here deliberately. So if you're looking at your Facebook feed and you see a sponsored ad in the right-hand corner, you can click on it and it will tell you why you've been targeted. So that's one thing. The other thing too is when you become like, and this is how we all are in the beginning, right? We're like signing up for every damn free thing, this webinar and this webinar and this free thing and this free thing. And then before you know it, you're like, oh my God, there's like 1 million people doing coaching because that's what your feed is. That's because you've opted into 1 million things. So it looks like, oh my God, everybody's doing life coaching. Everybody's doing relationship coaching. Everybody's doing business coaching. Like, that's because you've opted into stuff and now you're targeted. Does that make sense? So back to your point is the online space, it's really looking at their free content better be really stellar. And I learned that with Amy Porterfield. I listened to her podcast. I've bought all her programs and it's paid me well. And I've listened to Rick Mulready about Facebook ads. My conversion on Facebook ads, every dollar I invest, I get around roughly now $10 to $15 return. That's fucking epic. Okay. But I've also spent tens of thousands of dollars trying it. Now I have a machine. So back to what you're saying is, that's the best advice I can give you. Like read their stuff, look at their videos. Can you sit down and actually like take notes and do what they're saying? Like multiple times, not just one good video. Like that shit is content driven. So a couple reasons why that's really important. Number one is that, the psychology behind that strategy, and this is what I have implemented. Oh, and John Limo actually is another guy. If you want anything with LinkedIn, he's like so good. He's like one of the only people, I'm going to tell you, actually, he's the only person I've ever opted into. And I actually emailed him back and said, you have changed how I show up online, because he gives stuff, so much stuff away. And when I say give it away, like somebody could literally watch all his videos and create his whole concept, which I've done and I've made money on. And I've also now invested in him. See the psychology, let me tell you the psychology behind this. Do you want to know? Is this good? Is this helpful? Is this helpful, Julie? Yes. Okay. There's a psychology behind this. Number one is when you come from a place of being able to be like, I know what I'm talking about. I can give. You're coming from a place of abundance. I hope that you all see that. Like I come from a place of like, I have so much content. This is also why I'm hiring a team. I can't possibly like do this all myself. I just want to be able to sit for days and just shoot videos, content. Cause I've been doing this long enough. So it's abundance. I'm not just like, here's your little 3 checklist thing. No, it's abundantly giving. So if you decide you want to work with me, you know, oh my God, if Mary's doing this for free, what's her paid stuff? So the psychology is the energy I'm putting out is like, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a fucking authority here and I know what I'm talking about. And so I don't have a problem giving it because there's way more. And people are like, that's why people say to me, you're so real. You're so like authentic. That's because I'm giving, I'm serving, right? And the psychology, so there's a law of reciprocity. Have you heard of that law before? Law of reciprocity. So when I'm giving, people are like buying because I've been giving. Who told me just the other day? Was it in this group? No, it was actually a private client. We were talking about membership sites and all this, and she'd been following this guy. And then when he finally pitched something like whatever it was, $60 a month thing for 3 months, she like bought it. She's like, I bought it actually just because I'd gotten so much from him for free. So there's 2 places here. One is you give abundantly, not like I'm going to hold on to my best stuff because I don't want to give it away. So Amy Porterfield teaches like that. Rick Mulready teaches like that. John Nemo teaches like that. And they are 3 very different concepts. So follow somebody, read their stuff and implement it and see if you're making strides off their free stuff. If you're not, scratch them. And I would encourage you all to unfollow right now as you're growing, unfollow the majority of people, right? Because it's too hard. This is why. Okay, so I'm kind of going off like this is the get real, be bold. I'm getting real with you. So many times when we're new and we're looking at how to build, like Julie said, like we're like, well, who should we follow? And God, she's saying she can help me with a group. She's saying she can help me with it. Okay. So how are they showing up? All of that kind of thing. But one of the truths is this. There's a day that you have to just decide, I'm fucking all in with that. I'm doing whatever this person says. Like I did, $14,000. I went in, I realized like, I do not want to run programs where there's 200 people in a room for like a long weekend, 4 times a year. Like in addition to like, no, like that is not worth the money for me at all. That's just like crushing. So you have to be in decision mode too, that you know that in the beginning as you're building, you may invest places that you may not be getting as much return as you think you should be. And so just look at that as a lesson also. Like I invested in that. Why? So again, put your marketer hat on. What was it about what they said that I said yes to? What was the promise that they made that they didn't deliver on? And how can I make sure I'm not that girl? See, one of the decisions I made was I'm never going to be that girl. I'm never going to be that girl who is just giving a bunch of fluffy shit out there where people are going to be like, I hate those coaches. They don't know anything. I want to be the stellar. I want to be the go-to person. I want to be the regret-proof life coach, like the one people want to go to. I want to be the one that people in the mental health and wellness industry who want a coaching business come to. And that because they know that they are getting well over their return. Like that is a truth, right, is one of my core values. Do you see again how all this I'm teaching, and it's also truth. That's my truth. I live by that. So that's how I market. I respect your time. So I'm making sure I'm delivering, because I'm not coming from a place of like lack or worry that somehow my knowledge is going to like dry up. Why? Because and I've said this before, I have books everywhere around me. I continue to take courses. Actually, next week, I've taken a couple days because John's out of town. I am mapping out the rest of the year, tweaking it, and I'm putting myself back into Amy Porterfield's program, back into it. Why? Because I just launched this program, and thank you all for being here, and I want to get even better at launching. Make sense? And so when I do this, when I continue my education and my learning and my investment in myself, I am able to turn it over to you. And that's what I want to do. Like, I want to master this online space, not just so I can make so much money, because the better I get and the more I learn, the more fun I have teaching you. Like, this is fun for me. I hope you're getting that too. Like, I enjoy my business. Do you all get that? I mean, it's fun. I love it. I feel honored and blessed that you're here. I'm so humbled and grateful. And so, of course, I want to be giving to you, because my truth is I want you to have the kind of freedom that I have created, and however you define freedom for yourself. And if I can teach you how to do that, I want to. And if I have to show up and be vulnerable and cry or be whatever I am in the moment, or being like, fuck it, I don't care if you fucking don't like I say fuck or whatever, then that's what I'm going to do. And I'm willing to do that, to polarize people, but then to attract people. Does that make sense? I know that was like way long for your comment, Jolie, but it was really because I wanted you to hear a couple different like aspects to that. Make sense? Great. Does anybody else have any comments? I'll stay on as long as you want. And then I'm going to go to the Container Store with John, because we're looking at, and he's right here. Isn't he good looking? So hot. Hold on just a second. Hey, let me call you right back. Bye. Because we're going to the Container Store because I'm redoing my master bathroom and closet. So we're going to look at closets, whether we want to hire somebody, but anyhow. I am here. He's at home by 11. So I still have a half hour that I'm happy to stay on with you. If you're done, I'm done. But if you have any questions, I'm here for you. You can ask anything that you want. We can just open it up to like literally any comment now. And
I have a question. So the information we filled out on the spreadsheet before we started the program, how is that going to come up or show up in the courses over the course of the 9 weeks?
Yeah. So, and great question. So I'm going to pause that. I always get information from clients, private clients, course clients, all of that. What do you want? What's the intention? Because if I'm able to, a couple things. So this is going to be another multi-layered conversation, but this is what I want to teach you. I want you to be this like, you always want to get information from people for a couple of reasons. One is, like, I want to see what the cohesiveness for a group is, right? I want to say, oh, 7 out of 19 women said this. How can I weave that into the group? How can I read it into the content I've already created or the ideas I already have? Like, how can I do that? So that's a huge piece of it. It also gives me information when I ask these questions. How do I need to market differently? The best marketing copy comes right out of your clients' mouths. This is why people say to me like, oh my God, it's like you're in my head. I know, because I've said the words you say in your head back to you. Does that make sense? Is that answering your question, Anne? And so at the end of this, you'll get a survey. And actually at the end of, you know, this each like kind of module, like section, mindset, plan, and systems, I'll ask for feedback, because if I've missed something, I want to be able to address it. And that's why I also say, if you have any questions now, now's your chance. You know. And why do we do that? We want to constantly kind of be polling people, even in my group. And actually, I just had an email that I sent out this morning, which was I was riffing on it. Like, I really literally got up this morning, and then I was thinking about you guys, and I was thinking about everybody on the list, and I was like, oh, hey, it's 7:30. I've got a workshop later today. This is where I am in my life. Like, I'm deciding on this, and and I give them this 100 success exercise. You need to do it. And is there anything else you want to know? So I'm polling my email list. So if 20 people email me back, or 100 people email me back, and they're like, I want to know how to blah, 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 guess what I'm going to create? So this is the same with you. As you are starting to work with people, or you are starting to wonder, like, I'm thinking about working with this kind of client, I'm going to be giving you questions to ask them. And you're going to be either recording it, or you're going to be really good at writing it down. It's the same in sales conversations. If somebody says to me, like, well, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to be at work at home mom. I want to be, actually, this is the live conversation. Like, I want to be this 12-hour girl, right? She's like, I work 12 hours. And I was like, oh, you're a mom. How's your child? 1. I'm like, oh my God, you're away from the house from your baby for 12 hours. And I hear this is not what you want. She goes, I want to be able to go put her in dance. So I was able to reflect. So if we work together, one of the things we would do is we would really look at how to make sure that we can build your calendar quickly and replace your income quickly, since you're only making less than $20 an hour. How to be able to do that quickly so that you can take your child to dance. What would that be like? I want you to imagine right now what it would be like the very first time that you got a client and you knew next week you were going to be able to take your baby to dance. Okay? I'm talking about what's important to her. If somebody says, I want to know how to write an email, like if 20 people tell me that, I'm like, here's an email template, which I have a lot of templates that I will be sharing with you so that you don't have to think so hard. Why? Because you're saving time. I'm saving you time by giving you a template, and then you make it your own. But is that helpful? Is that what you were meaning? Anne, I'm unmuting you.
Yes, helpful.
Yes.
And I did get the email this morning, and what you just explained, I was like, that's brilliant.
What was brilliant about the email this morning?
About the questions you ask and how you said you'll get feedback, and that helps with marketing. And I mean, it didn't even occur to me when I was reading it, but that's
what I was doing. But also, I was also sharing, right?
Yes, you were sharing.
Yeah, I was saying, this is, hey guys, and because I literally was typing that at 7:30 this morning. That was the truth. I don't make shit up like that. I know some people, like, they make shit up like that. Like, literally, I was up early, 5:30. I was doing my morning reading with, like, Jack Canfield's book on whatever success, and I was like, oh, I want to share this, right? And I've had this big conversation, this aha with me about sometimes, okay, this is the truth, right? Sometimes I'm bored. I can get bored. So how can I stay in a place where I'm still excited about my business without being bored? And when I say bored, it just means that there's key structural things that I'm teaching you and teaching everybody. But the truth is that, sometimes I'm saying them several times. And so I have to be thinking about how can I say things differently so that I'm enjoying it and that it's coming across also enthusiastically and transparently and authentically. Because I know myself, and this is kind of back to what you asked, Julie, like how you can have so many people that you've opted into and you're like, this idea, oh my God, and this idea, and oh my God, this idea. What happens is, this is the truth. Sometimes your business is boring because you have to be consistent and in routines. And if you know about yourself that that's a challenge for you, you have to adopt that now as a mindset. That this is what I always say to people. I don't have to love all the time the work that I do. I am married. And this is actually what I put in this email, I think. And so thanks, Anne, for saying it was brilliant. I actually already got feedback from that, right? Like, I am married to my goal. I don't always have to like the steps to get there. If the steps are working, and this is back to that 100 successes, when I see that these are the steps I use to get to this goal, oh, look, it's the same pattern. Oh, I do this, and I don't always have to love that pattern. I don't love eating salad every day. I haven't eaten gluten or sugar or any processed food for 6 or 7 weeks now. Do I like a cookie? Fuck yeah, I like a cookie. But I'm married to the goal, but I'm bored with what I'm eating. So today I'll be going to Costco myself, and today I'll look up some recipes, and I'm going to plan. And I hate planning food intake. Hate that, because I like to be spontaneous. But you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm committed to my goal. There's like, we have mountains around here. They're like 10,000 feet, and I'm committed to hiking Sisters, which is one of the hardest mountains here in Oregon. And 20 pounds lighter will make it a little bit easier with my backpack on. You know, I am on my way to $1 million business. So that means I have to consistently show up if I want that. You know, and sometimes I look like, do I really want $1 million business? What does that look like? Part of the reason I want that isn't even for the money. I want to show you, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, I'm no better or special or different than you. I just do. So my point is, sometimes I'm bored. So I have to think, like, what can I do differently? So this is why, again, I'm going off, but I want to just share all this with you, because I think it's important that you can see some of the behind the scenes. Like, you're going to, you know, it's like important to have 5 different ways to market. So I speak, I do Facebook Lives, I'm hiring people so that they can do Pinterest, that they can do LinkedIn, and somebody can put together my YouTube channel. I don't need to know how to do all that shit anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I can hire that out. And so I'm like, okay, I want to be able to show, like, this is the kind of talk, this is the language I use in LinkedIn. Like, I need to be able to do these things to share them. So yes, I'll have $1 million business. And will that be fun? And there'll be a little ego there? Sure. But the bigger thing is that will make it easier for me to teach you, which is fun for me. The money becomes like secondary. Like, the act of doing it is the fun, the process and the system is the fun part. So that I can turn it around and be like, oh my God, look at what I learned. Does this help you? I mean, do you like me telling you some of this behind the scenes stuff? Is this beneficial to you? Okay, good. Because I don't want to just be talking, like, just to be talking, but I wanted to just show you what's possible. Any other questions? Comments? How have you enjoyed the program so far? Are you getting some stuff out of it? Helpful? I know a couple of you have said definitely so. Great. All right. Any other questions? Last chance. Counting down. 5. 4. I'm going to go wake River up then. She's still asleep. She's 12 and a half, so of course she is. And she needs to go do some weeding. And she's going to hate that. I'm going to tell you right now. Please feel free to post in the group. I'd like to see you all posting more questions. And this is, so there's 2 places to this. Number 1 is, I know sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to ask that question. Like, ask the question. I don't want you at the end of this thinking like, shit, there was like 49 questions I really didn't ask. Most of the time, your peers are like, thank God they asked that. It's the same though with my clients who Vox me, where I'm like, Vox me every day. I have clients that literally, they take a screenshot of their to-do list and they send it to me. Every time they do a sales call, they tell me what it is. And then some of them are like, oh, I don't want to bother you. I'm like, I can turn the sound off. Like, you're not in charge of whether I'm bothered or not. You're in charge of you getting everything that you can from me while we are in this relationship. That's your job. So never feel like you're asking something that's like off topic or whatever, right? I know that we're going kind of in order some, but if you also have something that's burning and yearning, don't be like, well, we might talk about that in 3 weeks. Like, ask it now. Ask it now. And if I can answer it, or if I think that I can answer it some now and more fully later, then I'll do that too. Okay, is that fair? Yes? Okay, countdown. Okay, go make it a great day. Think about what you want, how much it costs. How many of you are committed right now, by a show of hands, committed to finding out what it actually costs you to live, like live so you're not going to die? Like your bare number. And then how many are you willing to really think about what you want? And if you want that big ass house, we'll go and find one on Zillow and go try it. Or you want that Jaguar and you're going to go do a test drive. Or you want those Louis Vuitton shoes or Christian Louboutin, whatever, or you're going to go like touch it, feel it, smell it. Or you really want to always have the best organic food. Like, will you just give yourself $25 today and go buy like perfect, beautiful food? Will you, like, maybe you want flowers, like this time of year. Today, actually, our farmers market starts. I will be popping down there later, even though I have flowers in my yard. And it's like all summer, and most of the time I have flowers everywhere, but starting like the day of farmers market through October, I have flowers literally all over my house, in my office, in River's bathroom, my bathroom, the guest bathroom, on the dining room table, next to my, like, I love that. It doesn't have to cost millions of dollars to spend $20 on a big bunch of flowers, cut some out of my yard, and then just make little arrangements everywhere, right? So go do something that makes you feel special and alive and beautiful and wonderful and like glad that you're walking this earth. And then share whatever you want to in the group. All right? All right. Have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.